former NFL quarterback Chris Sims. His read of the Myles Garrett trade request. This from NBC Sports. Chris Sims unbuttoned.
They've had talent. They have not been able to make it happen. He's at a point of his career, and he's a caliber of a player that is like he's just going, I've had enough. And when he says he's going to sit down and meet with the brass and the decision makers, what are they going to say right now? Oh, we're going to win the Super Bowl in the next 2 years. We're just not sure who our quarterback is?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to make all these improvements, yet, oh, that's right. We got to pay Deshaun Watson $45 million each in the next 2 years, even if he's not on our team? Right? How can that even go over to where you can go, oh, yeah, that makes sense? Let alone they traded Amari Cooper. They got some other guys where it looks like they're about to flip over the roster and try to go young, right, in that capacity to where that makes
probably
you think,
the right call.
It's the right
for
call.
them.
Exactly right. It's the right call, just not for him.
Yeah.
And, yes, so that when he hears that stuff, he's going, hey, I like it here. I like you guys. You got a plan. I like the plan. But I don't want to be here for it. Like, it's going to take 3 years, 4 years for this plan to kind of come to fruition here. And I think that's where he just said, you know what, it's time for me to move on, and we'll see where it goes. But Monday, that statement, the way it was written, and then Monday of the Super Bowl, where now the week gets kicked off with 2 days of Myles Garrett talk.
That's a smart thing to do.
It's a smart thing to do. It totally puts the pressure on the Browns.
And, Jeff, I would agree with that. That was probably the goal. Put the pressure on show me what you're going to do. So it puts an urgency relative to free agency. And I get it. The main thing is you got to get a quarterback. If you find a quarterback who is top half of the league, just not bottom third of the league, you probably and you know it was historically bad this year. If you have a quarterback who's competent, they're probably a 7, 8, maybe 9-win team, and with a break or two here, they're in the mix. But they were so bad, they were 3 wins. They kept turning the ball over.
It was really tough to watch the offense. And look, some of that, you got to build up the line as well. And I think Myles knows that. Who knows what's going to happen at some of the line positions. But back to, I think Chris Sims, I think they were exactly right. He clearly doesn't want to leave because he hates Cleveland. His timeline at 29 years old doesn't sync up with where the line or where the Browns and the line is at going forward. And that's something that he's absolutely calculated. Look, we know Myles. He's a smart dude. He's very calculated on this. He's absolutely right. It's dominated the sports talk. I listened to Sirius XM NFL radio yesterday. They spent 2 hours talking about Myles Garrett and where he could go, why he wants to go. Very shrewd move on his part. And I think that does throw the ball more and puts more pressure on the Browns and AB specifically to make a decision. And look, you're not wrong. If they get adequate quarterback, if they get what Sam Darnold did for Minnesota last year, and remember, Minnesota was supposed to be one of the 5 worst teams in football. They had a season win total over-under of 5.5. They had that beat by Halloween, in part because he was really good, but also in part because he fit with their weapons, and they had great weapons around him. I think the Browns have that kind of table to work with. Now, defensively, they do, and they can win a lot of games with their defense, but they're going to have to get some immediate impact help, which goes back to what we talked about earlier. Can't miss on these draft picks, and you got to get guys that can play right away, and that does change your draft strategy a little bit. It takes out you can't sit and develop a guy anymore. You've got to have guys that impact right away, and that's not exactly what this team's done. So it's it's frustrating. It's so hard because we all love Myles, and we want the best for Myles, and we want that best for Myles to be in Cleveland, but that's probably not the best for Myles, and that's difficult to reconcile.